People complain, oh, well, financial advisors, they never beat the S&P 500. Yeah, because you can't stomach the S&P 500's volatility. Welcome to the Retire Q&A podcast. My name is Mike Decker here with David Franson. We're answering your retirement questions. Text them to 913-363-1234. And remember, this is just a show. It's not financial advice. All right, David, what do we got today?
Hey, Mike, does it make sense to diversify your retirement income streams? If yes, can you give some examples?
First off, let's ask the question, what is diversification?
Mm-hmm.
It's not putting all your eggs in one basket. Okay?
All right.
So the reason why people buy a bunch of stocks in different sectors is not necessarily to try and get rich. It's to just say, hey, if I'm in like, let's say 10 sectors and 4 of them go down, overall, my average should advance.
Okay.
A reason why people will put bond funds in their overall portfolio was because if the markets go down, the bond funds should not go down as much. Maybe they'll even increase, offsetting it. It's to stabilize the volatility or the ups and downs.
Mm.
Like, I don't get this. People complain, oh, well, financial advisors, they never beat the S&P 500. Yeah, because you can't stomach the S&P 500's volatility. And for those that can, good for you. I have no problem with that. I've seen many portfolios of 30 and 40-year-olds. All they're in is just stocks and their dollar cost averaging in. And I said, what'd you do in 2020? They said, we put as much more money in the market as we could.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have context behind the purpose of this. Now, here's a quick story. Someone once said, well, I'm diversified. I said, how so? They said, well, I've got CDs at Bank of America. I've got CDs at Chase. I've got CDs at my credit union. So that is diversification by company, not by investment.
They diversified their custodians very well.
Yeah, I mean, FDIC insured a couple of different places. It's not a
Okay.
bad deal. So
Yeah.
diversification is not just buying a bunch of stocks or a bunch of different ETFs. And by the way, if you have a bunch of ETFs, look what's in the ETFs. You could have diversified and just bought the same thing a bunch of different ways.
Right. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So the point is to have multiple strategies. Okay. So this translates into a number of other areas in retirement planning, and income planning is one of them. Okay. So let me give an example.
All right.
A not diversified income stream would be to just have all of your assets in a stock bond fund portfolio and you take out 4%.
Mm.
That works because the portfolio, in some sense, you hope is diversified, but the income strategy is singularly dependent on that portfolio and its ability to perform.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's just open it up a little bit. What if you had a large portion of your portfolio, let's say in, I don't know, stock bond fund 60-40. Okay. So that's a part of your portfolio and you're taking 4% out of it. But you had another large portion of your portfolio and it was in real estate.
Mm.
Whether it was in a privately traded REIT, whether you bought preferred stock of a real estate portfolio. And, maybe today it's averaging, I don't know, 8-9% dividends because it's a private situation. You have more control over it. The position might not grow with inflation, but you have a reasonable amount of cash flow because the real estate market is not coordinated with the bond market, and the bond market's independent of the stock market. And so you know how you have different income streams and different structures in different investment markets to help regulate the ups and downs. It stabilizes it. And JP Morgan did an interesting bit of research on this. They found that if you incorporate 30% of your assets in their study in a portfolio with stocks and bonds, you blend it all together, that you would see, historically speaking, it showed an increase of returns and a decrease of volatility because you went outside of the cliche stock bond fund market.
Okay.
Okay. So that's kind of a nice deal.
Yeah.
Now, this is the important part of this. Anything you do has its own inherent benefits and detriments, the risks associated with it. So if markets are on a tear, they're probably going to outperform, let's say, the real estate market.
Mm.
If the markets crash, maybe the real estate market holds steady. Maybe it doesn't. And the real estate market portfolio, those incomes, it's based on that contract. The renters still have to pay. And so you might get that 9%, but if push comes to shove, maybe they have to change it or maybe something happens. I mean, that you can't guarantee necessarily that you can control the economic situations of the various markets.
Right.
Are you with me so far?
So you're trying to diversify, but there's no guarantee anywhere in any of those things.
And then let's go to just investment philosophy 101.
All right.
Okay. So if you're a growth investor, that's going to work really, really well sometimes.
Mm.
If you're a dividend investor, that's going to work really, really well
Okay.
sometimes.
I see where you're going.
If you're a real estate investor, yeah,
It might only work sometimes.
yeah,
Okay.
and you can finish my sentences. So, but the point here is, I believe it is important to be able to shift your income strategies based on what is working and what is not working.
Because that'll change like on a dime.
Yeah, you want to be able to adjust based on the markets. Dividend investing was a really, really attractive thing years and years ago.
Okay.
Now it's not as attractive.
Yeah.
Companies want to manipulate their stock, their buybacks, their books or whatever it is legally. They do it legally.
Uh huh.
These are all rules that work,
Uh
right?
huh. Okay.
Not saying anyone's criminal here, but if they can appreciate their stock value, they can then use it to their advantage instead of being a tried and true boring company that pays a solid dividend. That doesn't always work today. It's not as attractive when you have a growth market.
Uh,
When the pandemic happened in the dividend investors struggled because I think it was like 600 dividend companies I was aware of stopped paying their dividend for
mm,
an unforeseen amount of time.
mm.
So the point being is all in a one strategy leaves you kind of exposed. Being able to say, I want to be a dividend investor for this time because we're kind of at near a market top and maybe we're just going to sit here for a little bit. Hey, I think the markets are undervalued right now. We just hit a crash. Let's now shift into a growth portfolio to where we're taking our income off of the growth of the stocks or the positions, whatever they are, stocks, bonds, whatever.
All right.
Um, eh, I say stock, bond, fund portfolio specifically. Maybe there's the market is overbought and you're in the real estate portfolio. And that's just my example for today.
All right.
Okay. So now comes the instead of just saying all in on one, but it being able to shift to the other, what if you had multiple going at the same time? So here's three examples that we use often here at Kedrick Wealth.
All right.
One of them is I call it the baseline reserves. So the theory for those who haven't heard this is we call it the Kedrick reserves. We believe that some of your assets should be in protected accounts. So if the markets go down, dividends dry up, whatever it is, you have a source that you can tap into that can't go backwards.
Oh,
So you don't
okay.
accentuate losses. Just like a city has a reservoir of water in case of a drought,
Mhm.
you want to have some protection that can help you sail through the market turbulence of whatever your strategy is.
Yeah. And so what are those? What can't go backwards? Where can you put your money that it doesn't go backwards?
Yeah, so you've got CDs, treasuries, or bonds, as long as they're investment grade and you're buying the actual bond, not the bond fund.
Okay.
Okay. You've got MIGAs, those are multi year guaranteed annuities. Basically, it's a CD from an insurance company. You've got fixed indexed annuities. So you've got growth potential, but you're not supposed to lose money on those.
Hmm.
There are some newer ones that can, so be careful with that. Buffered ETFs, not necessarily principal protected. They have like right now at the time of this recording, like a 50% buffer is the max buffer.
Okay.
So if the markets go down 40%, you're fine. Markets go down 60%, you might lose 10%.
Okay.
So they're not principal protected, but they have a reasonable amount of protection.
Hmm.
So you've got all of these different categories or different setups. Some people will even go as far as to say structured notes, but that's a rat's nest of
Hmm.
variability there. And what's this note versus that note? How are they structured? So just be very careful with things of that nature. Okay.
Okay.
Private credit is a different one you could look at. It's just a different version of like a bond.
All right.
Okay. Technically, it's a bond, but private credit, because it's for a specific type of person, is a specific type of structure. But the point being is there's a number of different investments or products out there that can do these things for you. Okay.
Hmm.
So one of the first ones is a common one. Okay. What if you just want structure? You want predictability?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What if your income strategy for the first 5 to 10 years is laddered out? Okay. We call it the reserve, ladder reserves.
Yeah.
You just ladder out your reserves. First year, maybe it's high yield savings. You're just pulling money out of a money market or high yield savings account. Year number two, it's a 1 year CD. When it matures, you spend it. Year three, then you're looking at maybe a MIGA or a treasury that's, going to mature in that time frame and so on. And usually for the first 5 years, those are kind of fixed accounts.
Okay.
So they're going to grow at a fixed rate. Then after that, it's split. Some people like fixed for 10 years. I've seen people go fixed for 20 years. You have inflation risk with that, but it's predictable.
Mhm.
Other people will do indexed. So after the first 5 years, then you have indexed products, so buffered ETFs and fixed indexed annuities because they have more growth potential. And then you ladder out the maturity. This one matures in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and so on.
Okay.
Or a buffered ETF, you just let it ride for the
Okay.
5, 6, 7 years. So that's one. We call it the laddered reserves.
Yeah.
And then you put the rest of your assets in growth. And the growth assets are there for the one-offs, the occasional, need a new roof, a new car,
Sure.
you go to the hospital. So it's kind of the extra buffer flexibility kind of side of the portfolio. That's a structured way that you could blend income now and then grow income for later.
So the part of your portfolio that you don't need now, that's where it can be subject to a little more risk and, "Hey, I don't need that money yet. It can grow. It can do whatever it wants." It
Yeah.
can
You just got to be careful though, because the fixed products
Yeah.
don't do well when the dollar's being deflated or
Uh,
when inflation gets out of control.
uh-huh. We
Because
got some stuff like that
it
potentially,
happened.
right? Yeah.
It happened. It could happen again.
Mm.
So, and that leads me to the other one, which this is probably the most common that I see in the retirement space. Again, I've coached financial advisors all over the country.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is they'll say, well, look, if you have $1 million and you want 4%, $40,000, let's take 60% of your assets, put it into a lifetime income annuity. Maybe you'll get 40, 42,000 out of that for life flat. It's not going to increase over time, but it's your baseline reserves.
Mm.
It's your, hey, this is guaranteed as good as the insurance company's credited, guaranteed as long as you live. So you've kind of checked off the starting part of your portfolio, and then the rest you invest to then handle inflation, the one-off expenses and so on. And you wouldn't go all at risk with that. It's just you'd manage it appropriately, and but you have that kind of to pad the inflationary risks. So that's not a bad strategy. I mean, when people there was a study done in Florida said, "Do you want the 401k or do you want the pension?" I think it was like 98% of employees said, "No, let's keep the pension."
Uh,
People like structured payout.
yeah.
Social security, pension, and annuities. It's all the same definition of annuitization, which is a structured payout for a contractual period of time. And for these, it's lifetime. As long as you're alive,
Yeah.
you're getting paid out. People love to hate on annuities because you give up control, but people love pensions. It's very conflicting because many people are a product of someone else's marketing.
Uh-huh.
Would I do a lifetime income stream? No.
No. You personally, for
I
yourself.
personally would not, but the reason is I'm also comfortable with my money. I don't invest client money this way. I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with my money going down 50, 60%.
Mm.
I get excited when the markets are crashing because I know I can buy in. I've been trained to do that.
Uh,
I've been trained to understand these situations. So it's not an emotional reaction, it's excitement,
right.
right? Just like a doctor is trained for heart surgery
Yeah.
or a soldier is trained to go into combat and not freak out.
Yeah.
I'm trained to look forward to those situations.
Uh,
Most people are not.
yeah.
Therein lies many people, it is appropriate to have that baseline reserve just so they have that consistency they can depend on.
Yeah.
For others, having a laddered reserve where that's still having more of their money in the market for long-term growth because they want more future flexibility.
Right.
But do you see how they're different psychographics or types of people, avatars, if you will, of
Mm.
of how they should invest? This isn't about, oh, what's the best way? It's which way is right for you. And then the third one I'll share just on structuring income and kind of blending things together.
Okay.
Um, if you like the 4% rule, you like most of your assets in the market, great, do it. If you can really stomach it.
Right.
A lot of people say they can until, you know, it happens and they go,
Yeah.
oh, this is tough.
It's one thing on paper to like maybe believe in the theory behind it, but then once you actually see your balance drop,
Yeah.
can you really stomach it?
Well, it's like this is a terrible example,
Uh,
but I've met a lot of people that say, I could get in a fight.
oh,
I could, a bar fight, I could totally handle that.
yeah, yeah.
And then it happens. No, they can't.
No.
No, not a chance. We can envision ourselves winning, But when reality sets in, it's a very different situation.
It looks easy in the movies when, Tom Cruise is punching someone, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves,
Yeah. Right.
so that's why this third one I have found to be very appropriate, and it's really the one I highlight in the book, How to Retire on Time.
Mm,
And that is it's called the dynamic reserves. In the
okay.
book, I call it the reservoir. But the idea is simple. You buy a fixed indexed annuity
Mhm.
that has a 5-year period certain clause. Most of them don't have this. Or you buy 5 years of income and put it into buffered ETFs. You can
Okay.
pick whichever one you want. The annuities can have a little bit more growth potential, but more complicated on the contract side of things, more protection, more structure. But you need to understand which one you're going to get into. But the idea is you're growing your assets and you're taking money off the profits and you're living a great life. It's incredibly flexible. It's incredibly dynamic, right? Good situation. But when the markets crash, the dynamic reserves you turn on for about 5 years. Why 5 years? Because markets will crash 1 or 2 years typically, and it might take 3, 4, 5 years for it to recover. So
Okay.
5 years is a reasonable period of time. And you just want a 5-year pocket that when the markets go down, you can sail through and sustain your quality of life for the next 5 years without accentuating losses so that your other risk accounts have time to recover. Don't think that you can time the market.
Ugh.
Don't think that you can outsmart the market. This is retirement. You don't get 2, 3 strikes and then you're out.
Mhm.
One strike and you could be out going back to work. It could be devastating. So, how much would go into that dynamic reserve? I don't know. You've got to put your plan together first. You need to understand the strategies you want to implement next. Strategies specifically are like the tax minimization strategies you want, the income, the dynamic income. Do you want to take some income from a brokerage account for a little bit, then you want to take some IRA assets, and then you need to organize your plan and your strategies you want to implement so that the investments and products you buy don't impede the strategies or get in the way of the plan.
Sure.
There's a very important sequence to these things, but typically what you'll do is you put your plan together and say, okay, now look at the top 5 largest years for distribution, total them up, maybe back a little bit off because you expect some growth potential, and that's kind of your dynamic reserves.
Okay.
And typically, I'll see people put two pockets together. So it's like the first market crash. This money's for the first market crash. This money's for the second market crash.
Ah,
Okay, that's kind of how it works.
yeah.
But what you're doing is you're just in that situation, you're blending between how to take income when markets are up and how to take income when markets are down.
That's kind of the key takeaway here. At least
Yeah,
that I'm getting.
have different options.
Yeah.
Have different products, have different investments, be exposed to different markets. Don't just buy a little bit of everything in the stock market.
Mhm.
Think bigger than that and think strategically, not just blind diversification. What are you going to do when the markets go up and there's good growth? What are you going to do when the markets stay up, but there's not much good growth? What are you going to do when the markets go down a little bit? What are you going to do when the markets go down a lot?
Mhm.
What are you going to do when inflation gets out of control? What are you going to do when maybe there's not much inflation, but it's hard to find a good deal? What are you going to do when the dollar gets devalued? Which I'm crossing over in different situations here, but you want to be proactive about how you handle those situations. Not say, "Well, I bought this product or I bought into this idea of a strategy, and that's good enough." Nothing's going to work well for 30 years.
Right.
You want to blend things and have the ability to change.
Okay.
That's all the time we've got for today's show. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you tell a friend, leave a rating, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. Also, go to retireontime.com to buy the book, the workbook, join a workshop where I actually put together a retirement plan and so much more. That's retireontime.com. We'll see you in the next show.